What's up, guys? You got the Plum Positive Show here coming to you live. Well, we're not live. We are live, but we're live here. I say that all the time.
You do say live every
time. Do you know why, though, right?
We used to be live.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to get rid of because
Yeah.
I'm so used to saying it for so long. That's where it started.
Yeah.
But anyways.
But it's been a month and a half. 2?
It actually may be longer than that. So I'll get there.
It's time to just say we're recording.
Yeah, we're recording live, right? But yeah, so we're here tonight, Plum Positive Show. This is a show absolutely about nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
But everything.
But everything all at the same time. And like you said, like Seinfeld, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Exactly.
Probably, this show is probably more popular than Seinfeld.
Upon our millions upon millions that watch us, I would definitely say that this is getting a lot more popular than Seinfeld. Every second that I continue to ramble. So
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're coming here from the Transuse Rooter and Plumbing Studio, which is our mobile studio.
Right.
Continues to be mobile because we're going to be at another studio next week.
Yep.
And this is kind of like we're stepping up these blocks, and we're almost to the final product, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But I want to know, will these lovely grandparents' furniture be moving with us?
My grandmother's furniture could.
I think it should. It should be mobile with us.
Yeah, we could definitely tote that.
These are comfortable. This is comfortable.
It is comfortable.
Yeah.
It's only like 40 years old.
It's this is Tommy Bahamas.
It's probably
It probably could be.
It's probably some sort of Lexington furniture product. Yeah.
Panama jacket exclusive fall collection.
Yep.
All right.
And we are brought to you by
Allstate, Bingham Insurance and Financial.
Oh God, see, and we're with the legendary. Can I say legendary? Because I think it's legendary.
Yes.
Yeah,
legendary Palmer Holton. Thanks for being on the show with us
Thank you
tonight,
for
buddy.
having me, guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
And you were Brandon.
I am not.
Are you
I am
Aaron
called,
in disguise?
I am no.
Okay.
I am called many names by my wife, but none I can. I mean, I guess I could repeat them, but I'm not going to. But yes, I am Brandon.
Yes.
This is Fletch,
Right.
and I just introduced Palmer. I'm still getting used to this host thing, so you know.
It's only been.
Don't worry
months.
about how long it's been. That's not the point.
See, when you said you weren't Brandon, we're talking aliens.
We are
tonight.
That's
yes.
true.
So I thought
True.
I thought you were going with the whole like Men in Black movie with the like
Loss
the
of
Edgar
memory.
suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not that smart. Aaron's the witty one. I'm not. So, and Aaron is not with us tonight, as you can see. He's grounded.
He's grounded. He's
Might be in outer space.
Yeah,
He could be.
Could be.
He
Could be,
could
yeah.
be.
Well, and this is our second attempt at this show.
Yeah.
It is.
We had technical difficulties last time we tried to bring Palmer on. I'm pretty sure it was the aliens.
Yeah. It was a payment issue. If I recall, Fletcher. That Venmo didn't
The
clear.
check was in the mail.
All right.
There you go. Yeah, well, I didn't pay you, so
Yeah.
thank you for Fletcher
Right.
for handling that for us. I appreciate that.
It was expensive, but
Yeah,
we got him on.
But, you
Yeah.
know, the millions upon millions of followers that we already have,
Right.
we could start seeing the billions
Mhm.
after this
Yes.
show.
Yeah, I
That's
think
true.
the rest of
That's
the world
true.
will be watching after the show. And actually, we're going to get more views from the aliens from outer space. So the views and the listens.
I
are just
see
gonna
what you're
go
doing.
up. Yeah.
That's true. That's
Right.
true. But I don't know where I'm going. I was trying to feed off the energy of the podcast.
Fletcher
on.
is not the kind of lover that we want him to be.
Right.
Fletcher, like, I have all this written up, and I
Yeah, I
took a
see
lot of
that.
time to do this,
I see that.
and he's just jumping right in. I'm
No,
like,
no,
whoa,
no, no.
whoa, whoa.
I know. I just we're going to talk about Palmer. We're
we
going to talk about Palmer first.
But you are so excited
I've
about this
been
episode.
excited for
Yeah.
months.
I mean,
I even got this alien
Yes.
outer space vodka
Yes.
for
Crystal
the
Skull.
Crystal
Yes.
Skull.
Crystal Skull.
I think it's an original Crystal Skull.
Yeah. I
It
think.
might be Smirnoff packaged in this alien Crystal Skull.
Yeah. It looks. It looks like somebody I
Is that-
think we both know.
Right.
Those eyes.
oh,
Yeah. Tell you off cam.
okay. Nothing is off.
Nothing's off. Yeah. Nothing is off cam. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, I know that we're really excited about having you on the show tonight.
Excited to be here.
Honest to God, this is like Fletcher's moment is tonight. Like he has. I think this is the Super Bowl for him when
Yeah.
it comes
Yeah.
to podcasts.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's been studying literally for 2.5 to 3 months. You can go back and look and listen on Spotify and YouTube to
and soon to
other
be Apple Podcast.
maybe golly,
There's
I
an
don't know.
Instagram.
Yeah,
and
Instagrams and the Instagrams,
Facebooks, and TuneIn,
Yep.
and
But you can go back and literally listen to so many episodes of he's
Yeah.
like, when we're going to be having Palmer on, and we're going to be talking about aliens. We're going to be talking about aliens.
I try to bring up aliens as much as possible to anybody who will listen to me.
It's almost like the short jokes that come my way a lot. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Well, the aliens are supposed to be, the grays are supposed
They're
to be
short.
3 feet, so you could qualify.
You might have some gray DNA.
Could have some gray DNA.
I-
They are mixing.
Yeah.
That-
They're starting
That's
to breed with
and
us.
that's okay. That's we don't need to make a thing
that
out of
is
that.
it's okay if you're listening, Grace. It is okay. Well, so you grew up in Lexington.
I
is
did.
that correct?
I did.
And
Yeah.
you had I don't know if this is unfortunate or fortunate, but you got to go to school with this knucklehead over
I
here,
did.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At Westchester.
At Westchester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
And I've been
grade-
hearing some stories about Westchester and about somebody flipping their lid, but we won't name names.
we can't. It's all anonymous.
Yeah. It's all anonymous.
Yeah,
It
you
sounds
know,
like fun times.
and I don't think Fletcher and I probably knew back then that we were both into like
The
the conspiracy
conspiracies,
theory
the
world, which
aliens.
is like just
Yeah.
endlessly fascinating to
Oh,
me.
it's
But
great.
I think it's always strange when you meet someone who's you
Shares
can
that
like throw out a
affinity.
term that you don't think anyone else will know, and they know it.
Right.
It's
Right.
like, oh my gosh, thank God.
When we just kind of reconnected
Yeah.
in the last couple of years once I moved back to town.
Yeah,
Started my office is in Lexington, and Palmer's
yeah, I'm there.
Palmer's living in Lexington, and we just got a beer one time, and then we just like talked for a long time about aliens. And
Aliens.
conspiracies.
Yeah, and a lot of people had to listen to us.
Right. Or at least
With-
me.
yeah,
Usually
the volume.
Usually those conversations from the other table are even more interesting. You're like, hey, listen,
Yeah.
listen.
Exactly.
Wow.
And I would not give Fletcher State secrets because I think we would all hear them.
Everyone would know. I've been shushed so many times in public, I can't even count on 2 hands.
Right.
Yeah, we
Okay,
can't.
okay.
We can't.
That would be 10 times.
Yeah.
Over
It's-
10 times.
I failed math more times than I could count, and that's probably part of the problem.
Yeah.
What do you do when you're shush now? Like, how does that go?
I remember last time it happened, I was at
And for the listeners,
Cafe 35. In
and for the listeners to know, he gets
Yeah.
shushed because if you don't know and you haven't watched this show, he's got one of the loudest laughs I've ever known.
Yeah. I was at Cafe 35
Yeah.
in Lexington, and I was with a potential client, and we were just sitting there having a good time, and this old lady in the booth behind the client just goes, "Can you be a little quieter? We can't hear ourselves talk over here." And I was like, "I'm so
goodness.
sorry."
At least you know.
And
Oh,
old-
I
And
know.
you're very kind.
Yeah.
yeah. I
It
mean,
was
an
really-
old lady telling you to be quiet. it's
Yeah.
like,
I mean,
can't really hear that well
Be ashamed she broke a
anyway.
hip.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, that's funny. That's funny. And I mean, it rattles you. I told him we were talking about the first time that we met and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember it was a BNI meeting, and he's just sitting there talking, and everything's going fine, and then the laugh happened. And I remember I had my headset on, and I was like, "Oh, whoa, that's not normal.
mic.
That is not
mic.
normal."
I always thought Fletcher would make a great Friar Tuck if
Ooh.
we could redo.
Robin Hood,
Robin Hood.
which they've done. And Robin Hood is probably my favorite story of all time.
Yeah, it's great.
And I think I've watched every version.
Yeah,
Would love to play Friar Tuck.
I think you could.
I don't
do
want
it.
to shave the head to get the whole
Tilt the
like monk thing,
Yeah,
but
with that hearty laugh.
Right.
It's perfect.
And just like eating some mutton, on the side of the river.
Mutton, a turkey leg, cup of mead.
Well, he had a
Yeah.
turkey leg
Yeah.
before you got here. He's like,
Right.
I think
Have you guys ever had a turkey? Actually, had a turkey leg?
I've had several. The Renaissance Fair in Charlotte.
Oh,
never-
I remember that. So
Oh,
at
wow.
Disney World,
That's
we-
where I've
that-
seen the
those
turkey
things,
leg.
I mean, and my son loves turkey legs.
Yeah.
But they're $13.50 for a turkey leg, and I said I will eat a peanut butter sandwich that we packed already.
I don't. So at the.
Yeah.
See,
But
I can't
I'll get it
believe.
next time.
Honestly, I can't believe that you've never been in the Renaissance Fair festival
I,
That's
in
shocking. I
Charlotte.
thought you had to do that when you were a kid. That
Yeah.
was like a field trip.
I wanted to go this year, but it was shut down because of COVID.
well, that doesn't make any sense.
It's-
COVID did not exist.
Considering the plague happened during the Renaissance,
Right.
True.
I
right.
think, right? I'm sure there was a disease.
I think there was definitely
There was some
majors should
disease,
know
yeah.
that.
yeah. But I love the Renaissance. And the same guys that were performing. I went probably 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
The same guys that were performing when I was like 6 and going there are still performing. The one guy that I was missing though, the Sword Swallower.
I just,
Maybe.
So every show he does the same show every time, probably 3 times a day for however long the Renaissance Festival lasts, and I'm sure he goes to other Ren fairs as well.
Right.
But he gets volunteers, and so I was a little kid in the back waving my hand, so I got to go up on stage, and he's like proving the swords are real, and so like I got to like feel this sword. And he like takes off the handle, so it's like literally just a blade, and so he swallows the sword, then bends over at like a 90-degree angle, and then I pull out
Ugh.
the sword. One of the coolest experiences of my
and
life.
that's how you got COVID.
Well, this was pre-COVID. This is way pre-COVID. I was probably 7.
Now, when he
I don't even think the H1N1 virus had come
now,
out.
what
at that
do you
point.
know his name? Do you remember his name by chance?
Don't remember his name. He wasn't like he's not. I don't think he's touring anymore.
Okay. Which all it makes me think
I
is,
looked.
do they have a DJ that's saying, "All right, now coming on stage is
Oh,
Tommy
Oh,
the
there-
Sword
there's
Swallower."
no DJ. This is set back in the like
Just a little band playing
1300s.
flutes.
Yeah.
You got the
And-
trumpet playing.
Little
know.
drums.
Like, here comes Stacy.
Man, that would be something to see.
Watch what she does to this sword.
That
Yeah.
would be something to see, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've ever seen a sword swallower in real life. So
It's fascinating.
Well, a year from
sounds
now,
like-
if we're still here,
Ren Fair.
we should do a Ren
always.
Fair
Yeah.
run thing.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, and the crazy thing was he had a serpentine blade,
Yeah.
and so you could literally see his Adam's apple moving.
How does that work though? Like, what's the
Have you not seen the videos on the hub?
No.
I feel like that's how I feel like that's how
well.
That kind of show.
yeah.
That kind of show.
I feel like that's just how it works.
Yeah, I think I think he probably just swallowed a sword. Is
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, like
I
he
think that's-
legitimately just has no gag
But there's a
reflex.
technique to that, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to slice the.
I guess you don't have a. Yeah, I mean, does he have a what do you call that? A uvula? A uvula? Is that what you call
The
it?
uvula is the little dingly dangly in
Exactly.
the back of the
Does
throat.
he have one, or did he cut it off?
just got went in a little too quick one time. You see how this podcast just gets derailed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're done. You see,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I
have nothing to
avoid
do but apologize. I don't know.
Biological terms whenever possible, if I can help it. I don't know.
But all right, so let's reel it back in. Come on,
Let's reel-
Fletch. Let's reel this thing
reel
back
that
in.
in.
Yeah. You
So
want
you're a
raw
film
turkey.
professor currently at Wake Forest University.
I'm not a full-time film professor.
well,
I'm
that
an
doesn't matter.
adjunct
That's,
film
that-
professor.
that-
If anyone
that
is
doesn't
watching,
matter.
Edit that out.
Yeah.
If
anyone
you
is
end up
watching-
film professor.
Yeah.
yeah, I teach film there occasionally, and then I work on film projects occasionally.
Yeah.
We kind of feed each other.
And
Mhm.
speaking of projects,
Yeah.
one of the awesome projects that I got to see was, and a lot of people got to see.
Yeah. I've watched it
millions.
a handful of times,
Say that.
and it actually is it's millions, right?
It's it premiered on Sports Center, which I guess at the time was the most watched.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mhm.
probably still is the most
Oh,
watched
yeah.
program.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, I'll let you keep it.
And-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the project was
When
was an ESPN short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the King held court.
Yeah.
And it was about Elvis Presley and his love of racquetball.
That's
So tell
right.
us a little bit about that project.
Yeah. I mean, where you guys want to start on it?
You start wherever you want to start because that whole
so
thing
how,
is amazing.
you know, so you and I have talked about, because you've got other projects kind of
Right.
in the works, and you know, you've kind of walked me through how some of this stuff,
Yeah.
you know, how the process works. But
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know how TV shows
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah.
an ESPN
pitching
short,
and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah.
So I had the opportunity to go to ESPN Films and about an internship. This was like kind of right after I got out of graduate school at Wake Forest. They have a documentary film program that's really good. And they're like, well, we don't have any internships open, but you make films. Why don't you go talk to Dan, who does our short films, right?
Mhm.
And so I went down into this other office, and there was a development executive there named Dan Silver, really, really nice guy, very creative. And we were just kind of spitballing, concepts for potential short films.
Mhm.
And the first thing that we hit upon was about rodeo clowns. And I was like, oh, this will be great. And, he had kind of expressed like, it would be great if we could do a short film that had animation in it as a major component. That's something we want to do. And so I thought, okay, so rodeo clowns.
To this point, did you do animation?
Yeah, I had
Okay.
done some animation on a couple documentary projects through Wake, so I was kind of used to the workflow of combining like an interview with hand drawn stuff.
Right.
And so it was kind of like a perfect alignment of things I had just been doing in school with something that they were looking for. And I was very excited to do a film about rodeo clowns, and more, and to do it with ESPN,
Sure,
and not
absolutely.
by myself. so I start,
how do you get in touch with radio clowns?
yeah. So
Rodeo
I
clowns.
start. You guys are radio clowns.
We are radio clowns. Yeah.
Right.
Rodeo
Right,
clowns.
radio clowns.
Radio class.
And so I started trying to find some great, stories about bull riders and rodeo clowns. And the problem was rodeo clowns, and I was just coming to this world as a complete outsider. Rodeo clowns seem to be, by and large, very stable people. Like,
Really?
didn't seem to be any drama at all. They're all like, I go to church, on Sundays. I raise my, and it was like, that's great for them, but it was not good for me.
For a film.
Yeah, for a film. And so, like, we kind of talked about it, and we were like, okay, what else, what else can we do here? And, like, my knowledge of sports is not super, super deep, which is like, I just had this opportunity to pitch sports stories. So it's like, I have to find something that I feel like I can, it connects with me.
Right.
And I used to play racquetball with my dad and my older brother at the YMCA in Lexington. And that was always kind of a scary experience, because with your older brother playing racquetball, it's like playing somebody in ping pong that's really good at ping pong. They're just trying to kind of like that's
And can you just get a hit with the racquetball too?
Yeah.
So was Ben just like trying to just like
he was going.
whack
Yeah,
you?
Ben was.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was not. He will not remember it this way, but I remember being scared to be hit by a racquetball. And you're in this big vacant empty room, and everything's echoing, and it's just like very confusing.
Oh,
So anyway, I started looking up stories on racquetball, or just typing in racquetball, thinking like I thought there might be some weird rivalry between doctors and lawyers that had been, because that was my perception of
Usually
racquetball.
insurance agents,
Yeah,
right?
insurance
You
agents.
never
go
played
hard,
racquetball. You
Yeah,
never played
it was-
racquetball.
well, I'll take you sometime.
Okay,
I'll take you
I've never
sometime.
played either.
I'll take both of you.
Yeah.
sometime.
Seen it.
I was,
Right.
I've never really played it really correctly either, but I just got hit playing racquetball.
We were playing dodgeball. That
playing
was a little
dodgeball.
confusing with the racquetball.
And this YouTube video popped up of somebody auctioning off Elvis Presley memorabilia that dealt with his racquetball court. And so I started looking into that, and like, all these stories started popping up of like Memphis racquetball being a mecca for the sport. Elvis he was involved in building up this trying to get this court chain off the ground, and so like very quickly I thought like, oh, this is fantastic. Like this is I've never heard of this, but there was obviously a very diehard community that still like kept this story alive. And the thing that worked in my favor was there was very little footage or anything because Elvis didn't want to be seen
Right,
playing. It's like this was his time to unwind. He didn't want to have pictures taken up. So it kind of fit the mandate that we had discussed of like it's a good short sports story. It benefits from having animation to kind of cover the gaps, and we kind of just went on from there.
Well, it was an amazing
so
short
cool.
story. It's so, I mean, it's like you just sit there and you're going, really?
Because nobody knew that.
No.
Well,
Even the
Memphis.
guy at the end, and I forget his name, but the gentleman at the end was even talking about, them making at the very, I don't know, I probably shouldn't spoil it, but at the very end where they were talking about, after Elvis died and
Yes.
they started making it into like a hall of fame with all his records
Yeah.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And they're like, they messed up that court to do all that.
Yeah.
I heard that we had tried, we had sent out some feelers to actually shoot footage in Graceland, and we thought we were going to be able to do that, but then like the day we got there, I mean, we shot the whole thing over the course of a weekend, and the day we got there, they said that they weren't going to let us shoot in there, so we had to kind of pivot a little bit. But I heard, I heard that they had turned the trophy room back into the racquetball court. I heard
cool.
that. I heard that.
Yeah.
Good. Well, it's all because of your ESPN.
Yes,
short.
I'm an activist, an activist filmmaker.
Well, the story is great, and we'll have to put a link on our Instagrams and Facebooks, so you can go take a look at that. But and probably on our YouTube, I can put a link on that too.
Yeah.
But it was awesome, and I'm sitting here watching this, and the animation was spectacular. I mean, it's unique, and I think that's what drew me in was how unique it was.
Yeah. The artist who did that his name's Ben Mara.
Okay.
Great artist, and you'll see his work on lots of very cool projects. And he was we were paired up through the producers who were in New York. It was a very like everybody. Ben was in, I think he was in Toronto, Canada. Some of our ESPN people that we kind of reported to were in New York and Los Angeles. I was in North Carolina. The editor was down in New Orleans, and I mean, it was just like trying to wrangle everybody.
Yeah. So it was an international project with the guys from Toronto.
Exactly.
We got a tax break,
Right.
because of that. Yeah.
Well, I think, I mean, like I said, that is just an amazing story, and we were talking about your shorts, and then we got to talking a little bit about aliens. And how that got brought up.
Yeah.
So you guys were talking a little bit before the show about school, and then you come back and you catch up, and then all of a sudden the time that you guys had some beers, and I'll let you tell the story, Fletch, but the time y'all had the beers, and then all of a sudden all the conspiracy theories.
Right. Well, first I want to talk about Palmer's alien documentary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, that I think that probably that's the reason why I know so much about something that's probably not real.
Well, aliens.
We don't know.
All believe that aliens.
We all
are real.
yes. Well, I mean that's the great debate. Yeah, I mean I don't know if you want to.
Well, yeah. So when we were catching up, we started talking about aliens and stuff like that, and I've always just been fascinated by it.
Yeah.
And you told me about this documentary. I guess it was in college or post college.
It was in college, yeah.
In college, where you were going around and interviewing people who claimed that they were abducted.
Yes, several
by
of them
aliens.
were abductees.
Yeah.
And okay, so I mean, so I went to
and I'm
film
guessing
school.
these aren't like the rodeo clowns that
No.
normal stable people.
No, I mean, no. I mean, most of these people were completely. I mean, that's what's fascinating about it, because there's when you start paying attention to all the people that talk about this kind of stuff, most of them, there's really nothing to gain by saying these things. Most of them are like just, normal people in the community. And, just imagine, Fletcher, if you started saying you had an abduction story.
I tell you what, I'm going to get into that later after our last podcast on the left, the story there.
Okay. Okay.
I had an
Okay.
experience.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I can tell you what happened while we were shooting, which is interesting. But so like, I went to film school, and I guess, I kind of got bored doing the traditional way of shooting, just regular Steven Spielberg-esque type of,
Right.
fictional filmmaking, and because it felt like watching paint dry sometimes.
Mhm.
Uh, so I started
Are you
gravitating
saying Steven
towards.
Spielberg's films are like watching paint dry?
Yes. There's one called The Color Purple, and it's just about the color. No, great filmmaker, great filmmaker. I love Spielberg, but it was more fun to me to try to go out into the world and like track down
Sure.
a story and then try to
Right.
piece these things together.
And what year was this? Because there was a time. What year was this?
2008, I think,
Yeah.
would be.
So I mean, you're talking at the realm of like reality TV,
Mhm.
documentaries,
Yeah.
starting to really
Yeah.
roll.
That will play a slight hand in this. So, we all pitched in this documentary filmmaking class, ideas, and I said I wanted to do a film about people who claim to have seen UFOs or have been
Right.
abducted, and it wasn't to prove or disprove what they were saying. It was just more about this idea of like what happens to you if you say something
Right.
like that. That was kind of the impetus for it, and so like I got the approval to do it, and then it was like, well, how do I find
How do you find
all
these
these people?
Yeah.
And I found through some research, there's an organization called MUFON, which is the
Mhm.
Mutual UFO Network, and
Be part of that.
yeah,
I
and
need to be. Isn't
You
there
need to
like
get I'm a lifetime member.
That's
For real.
awesome. That is awesome.
That's how I got into the meeting.
is there like, don't they do not festivals but like annual meetings or something like that?
Yeah. They do. I think each state has its own MUFON chapter,
Ooh, okay.
right? And then I think I'm sure they probably do like a conference, like a
Mhm.
a big conference where
Right,
everyone
right,
comes and
right.
share, because they're an investigative unit, so I guess they probably present everything. But the one I went to, gosh, I feel like it was in Charlotte, and the subject was on the pyramids. Who
Ooh,
built the pyramids?
ancient aliens built the
Right.
pyramids.
This I think this predates Ancient Aliens, because I was
Yeah.
like, what are these? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, this is out of control.
Right.
Like, I was pretty secure in my knowledge of ancient Egypt.
Sure.
Yeah. Miss Kirkman.
Right.
Miss Kirkman.
Our
from
history teacher, Miss
Westchester.
Kirkman, that great textbook with the Sphinx on the cover of it.
Yes, yes.
Um,
And she made us do like pretend we were a travel agent and for a project and like do a tour down the Nile.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That was a
Distinctly
great.
remember that.
That was a great class.
Yeah. I should have brought up aliens then, but I didn't know.
Well, we
but
didn't
I
know.
know now.
What we know now.
Yeah.
There's
Well-
a song about that.
Yeah.
Toby Keith.
Classic. Classic. Toby K. Yeah. So it was eye opening, because it was like
Did you feel just like a little
my
bit?
whole family went.
Yeah, oh,
My whole
wow.
family went.
Wow.
Like,
okay.
my brother was like, "Yeah, I'll go." My dad was like, "Yeah, I'll go." My mom went, and like they let me film it, and I don't know where that footage is, but it's I don't think we ended up using it in any capacity, because I at the time I was just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But it was like, I always think about, at the time it was like half the room felt like kind of new age crystals
Mhm.
and that type of personality.
Right.
And the other half is, like I always joke, is the guy wearing like the ball cap and the aviator
Oh, yeah, yeah,
sunglasses,
yeah.
and he maybe smokes a lot of cigarettes,
Yeah.
like
Right.
kind of like really into the nuts and bolts of like conspiracy
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
As
Like the lone gunman from X-Files.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so like I went there and I filmed, and I started kind of getting contact information from some people, because the speaker said, who I was and what I was doing there. So
Sure.
after the talk was over, people
that's
started
cool.
coming up to me, and I was able to kind of build a little network of people to kind of reach out to. And
Yeah.
And how many people did you interview?
gosh, it's been so long. I interviewed maybe 6 or 7
Okay.
people, and we tried to get a healthy mix of
Sure.
types, and one of the first people I interviewed, his name was George Facette. He's a very kind of famous UFO
Ooh.
investigator.
Okay.
And I think he has since passed away. I heard. I mean, you know, he was an elderly guy when we spoke, but you know, he invited me to his house. I went in there with, you know, like I think my brother was doing the sound. You know, I mean, it was a school project, but it's like
Right.
no one could ever quite sync up on these because the dates were always so
Oh, yeah.
strange. And he told me this really fascinating story about seeing an orange light when he was in college. And after the shoot was over, you know, he gave me a book, and it was like, you know, that story was like verbatim almost from the book. Like his mind remembered it in such like
Right.
detail. And that was an interesting one. I had another gentleman tell me, Scott Ramsey, I think it was his name. He told me this really great. It was a great observation because he would say that, you know, I think at the time it was like the 120th anniversary of Kitty Hawk, you know, the Wright
Ooh,
brothers,
yeah.
or
Okay,
maybe
yeah.
the 100th. I don't know, but
Right.
he was like, you know, it's not that out of the question to think, you know, 100 years ago we didn't have airplanes, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
You know, 70, 80 years later, we were able to go to the moon and send satellites to Mars and all this
Right.
kind of thing. So it's like, you know, his point was that it wouldn't really take that much more, you know, an advanced civilization to really
Right.
get
Yeah.
the jump on
Right.
us, which was
Yeah,
kind of a
going 70 years from not being able to fly to going to outer
Right.
space is a blink of an eye.
yeah. And you know, that was something I was not considering at the time.
Right.
You know,
Right,
it's like
sure.
kind of like look like, oh my God,
Wow.
like behind the camera. Like,
Yeah.
what? What, can you say that again? Say that again, please. You know?
Light bulb.
And then, you know, in the last one, I talked to a man who claimed to have been abducted by aliens, and you know, we went out to his home. I feel like we were down near. I mean, again, it's been so long, I can't remember quite where we went. We went out. I feel like we were towards like Jacksonville or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And yeah, he walked us through his property, showed us like where, like he said,
So is that
lights.
his home that he?
Yeah, his home. Like his abduction story started with like I think they were fishing on the river or something, and you know, he like went off into the woods for some reason. He said like, I saw this thing go by and I had to run back and tell my friends, and when I got there they were like, where have you been? It's been like 8 hours. And he's like, what are you talking
Oh,
about? You know,
my.
that kind of thing. And they had to
Yeah.
account for his time and bring in like a hypnotherapist, and you know, so he was telling me all that. And you know, it was a wild story. And we shoot this interview, and he shows us his backyard where he said these orbs had recently landed, and there's these burned circles in the grass. And you know, like part of your brain wants to be like the skeptic
Right.
about like,
Sure,
well, you could have
buddy.
done
Sure, buddy.
right, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Or you know, he showed me this tree where the branches were falling off, and they looked very sickly and strange, like these weird striations on them. And I was like, that's a little like, I don't know, you know, like I don't know how you would do that, but maybe it's, I don't, you know, but it's
I'm
like
not an arborist.
yeah. But again, you know, like that's not why I was there. You know,
Right.
I was like, I just want to hear what this guy,
Sure.
you know, how his
Yeah.
life changed from this experience. And so, you know, we had a great time talking to him and his family. And then when we wrapped the shoot, I got in my car, turned it on, and no joke, the radio dial started going like that kind of, you know, thing you always see in scary movies. And my lips just started tingling like in an insane tingling. And I was like, okay, we should get out of here, like, because like if it is true, then like they
Right.
know that they're like, what's this guy? Why is this guy talking? Why is he bringing a whole camera crew?
Why is he
What was
talking
he doing?
to our test subject?
Yeah, why
over
is he talking to our guy?
And when he got in after the interview, you got the tall white in the corner going, "Hey, you come here.
Yeah.
We got to talk.
Yeah.
We can't do that."
Tall whites. I feel like that should be the alternate name for this podcast.
Ooh, could
Right,
be.
this guy-
Well, we got a short white.
Well, you don't.
Two tall whites.
I
and a
can
can of
dream,
gray.
can I?
That could be a podcast too. That could be a podcast too. But it was an eye-opening experience, and
Yeah.
like, you know, as a student filmmaker, you know, it's like the kind of project I wish I could do again.
Right.
Why can't you?
Now that you're
I don't know.
professional.
I
You
don't know.
are
Now that I know what to do.
You can do anything you want to
Yeah.
do.
That's true. But at the time, after I
Fletcher
talked
will
to
be the one holding the boom.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be your sound guy.
Yeah.
I'll go.
yeah, you
Take
just
me,
can't, you
take
just can't
me.
talk. Like,
Oh,
you
that's
just can't,
fine. That's
you can't
fine.
laugh.
I cannot laugh.
You cannot laugh.
I'm out.
Done.
But at the time, after I interviewed our abductee, interview subject, I got this email from somebody at the Discovery Channel saying, "Hey, we heard you talk to, so and so, and like he's talked to us for an upcoming, documentary special, or maybe it had just come out, and it's like, just so you know, like, you can't air this on TV until like 6 months." And I was, in my mind, I was like, I'm in college. I don't think we're gonna get to air this in 6.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know where this is going. But that kind of felt like maybe at the time was the beginning of like
Sure.
this kind of like the alien thing is like these kind of like these endless documentaries where you're
Right.
just kind of like, maybe
Yeah.
what if, this because it's kind of endless because you
Right.
can't quite prove or disprove what is being said. So it's
Yeah.
just this perfect.
So how can we get a hold of this documentary?
Well, you cannot.
Oh,
It's in the vault.
is
Yeah.
it
in the vault?
Ooh.
Yeah, but maybe I'll show it to you.
Is it like where
Sometime.
the Ark is hidden in Raiders of the
Yes,
Lost Ark?
it
It's
was.
a warehouse?
It was never. I would
drive.
say. I would say. I would say the
Dark.
project was never completed to satisfaction.
Oh,
Right, there were some
okay.
issues with some technical aspects of it, but I
We've
do have the
been there.
tapes. I do.
We've-
I did find the tapes recently.
Yeah. Did you
And,
really?
yeah, and I was gonna try to maybe reconnect with some of the people.
I
and see
think
if I
it's
could get the
time.
footage out.
I think
Yes.
it's time, and we're there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
We're there.
maybe.
We'll do anything we can do, which is probably nothing, but I'm there.
Nothing, but
I
I
think-
want.
But I
want
want to
to
be there to support.
Yeah. And it was this story. So this was like one of the first times that we kind of reconnected once you were
Yeah.
back. And this was like that story. Like I always loved aliens. Loved watching Ancient Aliens, which is
Everyone. Everyone.
I mean,
does.
it's an outrageous
Everyone
show.
does. Yeah.
But it's so much fun. But that was like, I was always interested. But when Palmer was telling me that, I was like, oh, I'm going deep. And so Palmer recommended this podcast called Last Podcast on the Left,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and it's fantastic.
Yeah. It's great.
They talk about aliens, serial killers, cults, conspiracies.
General conspiracy.
Yeah.
Right?
And then, like, those are kind of like the 4 big topics.
Yeah.
And Palmer was like, all right, you need to listen to this 3-part Men in Black series that they do. He was like, it's not like the movie. It's like, so I listen, it's like, you don't know whether it's the government, is it aliens, is it tulpas, which are thoughts that come to life. And so it's just like this really bizarre thing. So I've been listening to this like all day, and I get home and I'm still like in an alien mood, right? So like I turn on some Ancient Aliens.
You don't understand. You see,
You got to take breaks. Fletcher. You can't go all in.
there is
Yeah.
no breaks for this guy. No rest for the weary.
And so I turn on Ancient Aliens and I watch it for like an hour or so, and I go to bed. And this is like an early night for me. It's like 10 o'clock. I'm going to bed, and I turn off Ancient Aliens and I put on something like, I always watch like cartoons to go to bed, like Bob's Burgers, South Park,
Makes
American
sense.
Dad, Family Guy, something like that I've watched a million times. Where
Comforting.
it's just white
zone
noise in the
out.
background for me. At like 2 o'clock in the morning, my
That's the time.
Alexa in the bedroom starts blaring Akon. First of all, I haven't listened to Akon in years.
That's not true.
What was the
That's
song?
not true.
I can't remember. I'm
Tap,
sure.
tap,
Yeah,
on
what-
the
yeah, what was
phone.
the-
Probably. And secondly, my Alexa in the bedroom is always at low because if I'm not watching TV shows to go to bed, I'm listening to music softly to go to sleep. So like, it's always on low. Haven't listened to Akon in forever, and it's blaring full volume. And so I didn't think of anything. I didn't think anything about it. And next morning, I woke up and I text Palmer, and I was like, "They know they know that I know." I was like, "This is what happened." Akon started blaring. He just responds with this Wikipedia article.
Another rabbit
and
hole.
it's another rabbit hole. But it was about this South African woman who was one of the first people to claim that she had a sexual encounter
Ooh.
with an extraterrestrial.
Wait, I sent that to you?
You sent it to me. Yeah. Yeah.
He said, "Stop
The-
reading." There.
No. Yeah.
I
No.
thought this was about to go down a deep rabbit hole where you're like, and it's
It sounds
it's
like it.
Akon's mother and
No.
It sounds like I have lost time to
He
account
sent this Wikipedia article about the South African woman having a sexual relation with an extraterrestrial. Extraterrestrial was named Akon.
Okay, yes. This coming
Yeah.
back to me.
And I was like, that's really weird.
That is weird.
Really weird. And I was like, whatever. Weird coincidence. A couple months later, I was going doing like a winery tour in Yadkinville with my wife.
That's how it starts.
always the wine.
And I was like, we're listening to this Men in Black podcast. And so like we're just driving around to all these different wineries and vineyards, and I'm making her listen to this, and she's not digging it at all. But we get to the, so we listen to like probably an episode and a half of the 3-part series on Men in Black. And we get to the final spot, and we're on the patio, and I'm looking out to the parking lot, and backed in is this big black SUV with a license plate that just read MIB. And I was like, these are two really weird coincidences after listening to this podcast. They know.
They know.
They know.
They know.
The truth is out there.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of truth,
Yes.
speaking of truth,
A lot of truth.
it's real truth.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
Hashtag truth.
Hashtag true.
Yeah.
The truth.
Tell us about the Pentagon.
Yeah, Pentagon this year. I guess,
See, when I say that, Bubba's like, hold on. Where are we going with this? I don't know how much I can talk about the Pentagon.
I guess it's not this year, but the Pentagon released.
It was late last year because I just read the article.
No,
today.
it wasn't late last year. It was like right at the height of COVID,
Okay.
and they released it at that time. We're going to conspiracy.
That's when they released. Yeah,
they released
That's right.
footage of unidentified flying objects taken by military personnel,
Mm-hmm.
like high-ranking military personnel. And I think that they did it at the height of the COVID, so it would be page 6 news. Nobody talked about it. Like, that should be front page news everywhere.
We're talking about it though.
We are talking
Right.
about it. I want to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, it's bananas that the Pentagon releases footage of UFOs and says, "Yep, these are UFOs that our military personnel took, videos of."
And that was Commander David Fravor, right?
Yeah, David Fravor.
So I'm going to read this. Okay,
Yeah.
this is from the Intelligencer. Okay, so Commander.
Sub
Yeah.
sub thing of QAnon.
Yes, exactly. if that's what you think. But in 2004, it was released last
It was
year.
released in 2020. The video was taken in 2004.
November in 2004.
Yeah.
Commander Fravor witnessed what came to be known as the Tic Tac UFO incident on a training run over the Pacific Ocean, 140 miles southwest of San Diego is what I
San
was.
Diego.
San Diego.
Yes. Very exotic.
At the time, he was stationed aboard the USS Nimitz as a commanding officer or strike fighter, also known as the Black Aces, which is just a freaking awesome name, anyways.
Yeah, he was a Top Gun pilot.
Yep.
And I didn't know that Top Gun was an actual thing
term.
until last year.
Oh yeah,
I
I've
just thought it
seen
was a
in San
movie.
Diego. I've seen where they shot the movie. So,
Yeah.
so I did. It's a great movie.
Yes.
But the incident broke into the mainstream media after the New York Times republished
Mhm.
a story reported by fellow UFO festival presenter and investigative journalist George Knapp. Okay, so David is like a high ranked. Matter of fact, here's some of his stuff: Marine Corps since 17, transferred to the Naval Academy as a young midshipman. Fravor did his first training on the Nimitz and dreamed of someday flying in the Navy. 20 years later, anyways, 24-year veteran of the U.S. military. This guy comes with clout,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he witnessed all this stuff.
And
nuts.
And the Pentagon released the video.
Yeah.
Like, we've got the video of this.
Well, I mean I think that would say that they're excited,
Yeah.
and maybe they're not hiding anything, right? I mean, the UFOs people are always like they're hiding extra stuff, and they get this footage and they go, "It
Yeah.
is."
Yeah. 16 years later.
Well, I mean, what do you guys think it is? Do you think it's something from out of the world, or
It's got to be. I mean, because if you listen to, because I watched a couple documentaries with David Fravor on. He's like, I've been in flight. I've been a pilot and I've been around the flight world for, decades.
Right.
And he's like, there's nothing.
Well, what
nothing
makes this
that world
story,
has
what
that
makes
can do
this
that.
story specifically, right, even more interesting is that he wasn't the only one.
Right.
And,
there was,
and
was
you were,
another
yeah.
plane
So,
about a few thousand feet above that was also targeting.
So this right here is the story of the Tic Tac begins around November 10th, 2004, when radar operator Kevin Day first reported seeing odd and slow-moving objects flying in groups of 5 and 10 off west of San Diego, right? So at an elevation of 28,000 feet, moving at a speed approximately 120 knots, which is about 120 miles per hour, okay? And the clusters were too high to be birds, they said, too slow to be conventional aircraft, and were not traveling at any established flight. It's okay.
Aliens.
It's okay.
Man.
See? They're watching. They know.
They know.
And they're taking care of that right
First
now.
of all.
But it was just talking about too high to be birds, too slow to be conventional aircraft, and we're not traveling at established flight path. And they go on to say that it was an actual act of war.
Because they jammed the radar.
They jammed a radar.
These aircraft jammed David Fravor's radar.
Yep. What do you think?
Ooh.
I don't know. I would say maybe.
Okay.
I would say maybe.
Playing it so safe,
Oh,
Palmer.
so safe.
It is a UFO in that we don't know what it was. Right. And I would also, part of me thinks maybe it's just a very savvy move to maybe we have this technology and we put it out into the world and we act like we don't know what it is, and it gets, our rival nations and our competitors all worked up because they don't know what it is, and it just kind of creates this this kind of blanket that allows us to keep experimental aircraft flying around.
That's never thought about that.
But
So are you just saying that the Roswell incident was a weather balloon?
it could be, yes.
I mean, it could be, but we know it's not.
Was it? I don't know.
Oh, well,
I mean, something happened,
Something.
right? I mean, in all these things, something did happen, and really, it only takes one of those things to be, which people claim it, to be, catastrophic,
Right.
to our civilization, like in upending everything. I think a lot of that type of stuff is just like experimental governmental aircraft that maybe go down, right? And if you start saying they're aliens or that kind of thing, maybe it provides good cover for the discourse. But I mean,
how's your lip feeling right now?
It's tingling.
That's what I thought. He's joking. I'm just waiting on something to happen to me right now.
I've learned not to divulge the secrets. But it could be. It could. It's hard to say. I mean, it's if it's true, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
No, it is. It really is.
Yeah, and I mean, another crazy thing about that incident is like all of a sudden that Tic Tac shape, and we're talking about like the candy Tic Tac, like that's what it looked like. It just disappeared off the radar.
Yeah,
and then
never saw it again.
No. They did see it again at the CAD point, which is like the combat action defense point or something like that. They saw it like 30 seconds later, miles away.
Which watching by the way, we watched the phenomenon which is a fantastic. I mean, if you got
it's a it's a documentary
about all this stuff that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
But on that, going back to it, they talk about it. It would go over its military bases, like these military bases. And at one point, disarmed nukes and
started
arming them, and then just disarmed.
That's a fun game.
Yeah,
yeah. World War III.
That's a fun game to play.
Annihilation of all Earth.
Yeah. So, so I don't know, man.
It's tough for me
I don't
to
know,
not
man.
believe when all these experienced military folks that are pilots and astronauts have seen stuff where they're like, there's no way. Because, I mean, even astronauts in the 50s and 60s saw stuff, go 10,000 miles an hour this way and then just like go at a 90-degree angle. They were like, you would just be slime on the wall as a human being.
Right.
It's very difficult for me to.
Right. Into the microphone. I agree.
Hold that thing. Look.
Let me. That's true.
Just chasing the microphone.
Hello.
I felt inappropriate there for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Wherever the mic goes, that's where I go.
But I mean, with all that, and I mean, there are still some like politicians that we want to talk about. That Harry Reid, who was the Speaker of the House, has come out and said
he's into it.
Oh yeah,
he's into it.
He's into it, and he says
is Harry related to Andy, who's now going to the Super Bowl for a second time in a year?
That's his father.
That is his father.
Definitely his
That's
father.
what I thought.
My notes.
Pretty sure his father.
If you're listening, my notes say that I'm looking at.
But Harry Reid's the one that says there's a level above top secret, and that the American public don't know over 90%.
And I
like,
believe
what's
that
going on.
100%. Do I believe that? I have something that happened.
Oh,
and it just happened Sunday night.
Oh,
okay. And I haven't even shared this.
You have not
with Fletch yet.
I'm
okay?
upset.
Breaking news.
All right.
Okay.
So I showed Brandy last night. So Sunday night, I have a ring, right? That's looks over our shop, and I can see everything that's happening. Well, at about 2 something in the morning, it goes off. Well, I have this damn cat, this yellow cat, that likes to come through there and just mess it up all the time and wakes me up because I won't turn it off. I want to know. If somebody's coming down my driveway, I want to know, right?
Makes sense.
So I didn't even look at it. Well, I think I did. I rolled over and I looked at it briefly. I didn't see anything really, but it looked like a drop of water. And I was like, okay, I set it off, and then I went back to sleep. So when I woke up the next morning, I went back and looked at it. It was an orb that was there from 2 something to 4 something and moving all around. I kid you not.
Holy
I kid you not. And I will show it to you after this.
Yeah.
I showed my wife last night.
Why did you not share this before the show?
Because
he wanted the bombshell.
I wanted to.
He wanted the bombshell.
I wanted. You were talking about breaking news.
This is breaking news. This is breaking news.
But it freaked Brandy out, and she's like, "So I don't have short sleeves on. If I had shorts, I have a mark right here of where we're watching it last night." And she's like, we're in bed. It was right after we talked to you, and I'm like watching it, and I'm showing her. I'm like, look at this. This is freaky, man. And she like grabs my arm. She's like, she like scratches me, right?
Yeah.
And but no, it's freaky, and it's still there. So
for
I got
2 hours.
For 2 hours, and it didn't stay. It would move all around the back of the woods setting. And I was like, okay, let's make logical sense of it, right?
Right.
That's where your mind goes first. So I'm like, okay, is this a spider web? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like trying to see if it's a spider web and it's not, because if it was a spider web, it wouldn't shrink and go up and go down.
Oh, it was shrinking.
It would shrink and go down and get brighter, and it would dart across.
It sounds like swamp gas.
It could be. It could
classic
be.
government cover up. Swamp gas.
That I was sent here to obscure this story.
You're being very PC during this conversation, Palmer. The other conversations that you and I have had.
I don't want to scare your listeners.
I'm just saying, I've never had that. And people talk about things that happen on their cameras anyways. But that was the first thing that's ever happened to me,
Well,
and it
yeah.
just
You
so
know,
coincidental.
the
that
maybe the Tic Tac video stuff. I mean, you know what? We live in a world where now everyone has like high definition cameras in their
Mhm.
pockets, and maybe
Mhm.
it's tougher to cover the
I-
tracks, and it's
Yeah.
there's no point
Right.
in totally hiding it. But I mean,
which when we didn't have phones everywhere, it made it a lot more interesting. Because then you would watch the video and you're like, "Oh my God, that's real," or
Right.
"Is it fake?" Now you know. It's
most
like,
of the time
oh,
it's a frisbee, just
it is
going by.
It is.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you guys think?
Well, you sent
we
me a
should know?
video. You sent me a video like 2 months ago when you were
Yeah.
jogging in
So,
Lexington.
okay, so I was jogging. I was out at the track by myself, running, and I look up in the sky, and like on the the corner of my vision, I see these kind of lights just kind
Oh,
of
they come in clusters.
yeah, like two or three like kind of lights doing this, and it's like they were drifting across the sky, and I was like, oh my God, like I was like,
Mhm.
what is that, and I take out my phone, turn the camera on. I'm looking for it, and it's like I can't quite, it's like the light from the day, the sky's so bright, I can't quite get it on the phone. I'm like, I'm turning I'm gonna be like one of those people who's like, no, if
There
you
it is.
zoom
There it
in,
is.
you can see it. And luckily, some other lights started appearing, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, it's
Yeah.
happening. It's actually happening. And, like I'm standing there, and then I realized, like, from doing my own alien documentary and having kept up with that stuff since then, because I just find it fascinating. I was like, oh my God, this is exactly how all these stories I've always heard start. Like, I'm going to like look at this for a little bit, and then like,
You're about to turn the camera on yourself.
yeah, someone's gonna be like, why are you? Why, you've been missing for 7 hours. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I've got it on my phone.
Yeah.
And I think I sent you the stuff, and I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, I just was like, I should leave. I'm already running. I'm just going to continue to run away from this. Like, I don't
I'm
need.
running home.
Yeah, I don't need to know.
And
I don't need to know about this.
Right, right.
I'm good with whatever they're doing
yeah.
over
Do you,
there.
bro.
Do you. And like I kept looking at the footage, and like I think I sent it out to people. I was like, I don't know what the hell this is. And like after I sent it to like my uncle, and he sent something back saying like at that same time, like I think Elon Musk was shooting a rocket off somewhere, and that was probably debris, just like as the shuttle
Yeah.
parts of it came down and
Sure.
burned up.
Sure. That's
Sure.
what they want you to
Sure, that's what they want you to think. But yeah, I mean that was my big breaking news story.
Yeah.
Breaking news is it's coming first right here on the
Well,
Bill
can,
Positive
can I
Show.
ask you guys a question?
Oh, yeah.
Can I ask
Absolutely.
you? Can I pose a question?
Pose.
Can I pose a question?
Pose.
Do you think the government could, or I mean, not the government? Do you think the public could handle it if the government said, "This is
Ooh.
the truth"?
I think that I think that the government has been feeding us little bits of information. They probably were the ones behind Ancient Aliens that was like, all right, just go ahead and make this. I know it's a ridiculous show.
Get
but
the
like,
idea out there.
Get the idea out there. And I think that they're just releasing little bits. It's like, oh yeah, this could be a little UFO video. I think they're doing that to prep us for
for a bigger reveal,
yeah,
an Akon album drop.
yeah, an Akon album drop.
What's your stance on it?
So to answer your question is no.
Okay.
I don't think the public can handle it. But I agree with Fletcher
Mm-hmm.
that they are releasing it a little bit of time because that's how these things work.
Mm-hmm.
I had someone tell me the other day, I don't know how true this is, but I had someone tell me the other day
If it's on Facebook, it's definitely
that
true.
in 1988, this is
Great year. Great year. To the microphone.
you're the little boy?
I was 2.
I was one.
I was 3.
Oh,
3.
Got some age on it.
But
We're getting old.
this is what
what are we doing with our
what
lives?
system was out at this time, right? Nintendo.
Nintendo.
Supposedly, they had graphics to the point of what we're seeing right now, almost.
Ooh.
like PlayStation-esque, okay? But they kept it under wraps to build it up. Now, I don't know how
Yeah.
true this is. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah.
But I think that I was like, And then you go back and you look at technology in general and how they've. I mean, you get a new iPhone every year.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's new phones. There's a little bit at a time, little bit at a time.
Yeah.
So it's it's not shocking to me. And then you think about sensitivity or censorship of all the things that we watch right now. Just take back of what when we were growing up, the films that we would watch, and we were like, if they said a cuss word or two, it's like what?
Yeah.
Now it's like
It all
Yeah,
got
everything's
everything goes.
sensitized, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I even catch myself, which I am a terrible parent. But
It's
I
not
catch
true.
myself even
Not
with an
true.
11-year-old.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, he can hear that.
Did
Like,
you ever
it's
watch
fine.
American Pie the other
Yeah.
day?
No.
Classic.
Classic.
I
stuff.
introduced the Bear Witch Project on the hub. Just kidding. Just kidding, guys. I did not do that, Brandy. I'm just kidding. But no. I mean, it just makes you. That was my favorite movie when I was doing that. But no, I mean, you think about how movies have come out in a
Yeah.
little bit at a
Right.
time, and we become more just the norm.
Yeah,
It's the norm.
absolutely.
So I'm not. I think
I think that they would be ready for it.
I don't think.
I don't think
they're
they're ready for it now. They're not even ready for the stimulus checks right now. So
That's a zing.
I'm ready for stimulus check.
I like
ready
it.
for.
I'm ready for it. But
I'm
what
ready
I'm
for
saying
another
is,
stimulus check. Please send me money. Money now. Money me now.
I just don't think we're ready for it.
yeah, I don't think.
I
so
mean,
either.
I get scared of like a cockroach. Like if I have to deal with it,
Right.
and I'm not
Well,
saying.
that's an alien from. the
But yeah,
movie
I'm
Men in
not-
Black.
I'm not saying if we have any alien
Right.
listeners, that's what they remind me of. It's
Yeah.
just like it's just something that's so different from us that like when you see it, you just recoil and you don't know what to do.
Well,
just to go right into the next phase.
I was just about to
Go for it.
say
Oh, we got a sec.
the
Yeah, let's
Israeli
segue. Really good at
Israeli
segues.
defense minister.
Okay.
I guess he was the former Israeli space security chief. Said that basically we have a signed alliance with aliens. They exist. Trump knows they
and that just came
exist.
out.
This came out in like what, November-ish?
November.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did he? I think he also said that like there's like a alien base on Mars. He might have said that,
Classic.
which I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's
Wait
true.
until the new
but
Space
the-
Jam
but
movie,
the-
and we will
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
out.
We'll find out.
But the Galactic Federation,
Yeah.
we're
pretty
about
cool.
to be in Star Wars, y'all.
Mhm.
We're about to have lightsabers.
I am all game.
I think we'll probably be pretty low on that totem pole
think so,
of
too.
the Galactic Federation.
Yeah, we're gonna be the cockroaches of the
I'm-
universe.
I think that's good. I think it's good. We're all getting to know each other.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'd rather be in an alliance than be on the other side of it.
Roger Dodger
Yeah.
10-4 on that one, right? I've seen too many movies to see how
yeah,
that
you don't
ends
want
up,
an
right?
Independence Day, Mars
And
attacks.
this is not the first kind of high up governmental figure who's said this sort of thing
Yes.
before.
Look at you killing segues. Right
I'm
now. I
I'm
mean, my
breaking
gosh.
I'm breaking
Are-
down barriers.
Are we talking about
are.
Paul Hellier?
We are.
We are talking.
I mean,
about
I
Paul
think they're
Hellier.
in the same segue.
Yeah, yeah, because he's the Canadian.
Canadia's
Canadian-
former defense
yeah.
minister claims that aliens are real.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to where was he? He was talking to was it the
He might have been talking to the Senate.
Senate?
Was he
Might have been
talking?
Senate.
It was a
don't
video that
remember
you
that,
sent
actually.
me.
I don't know anything. I don't know.
Just
I
deny Paul.
I
Ross.
deny.
Come on.
I assume he was talking in Canada.
I think he might have been talking here in the States.
I think he was in the States. I'm pretty
man.
sure,
Yeah.
but I've been wrong once in my
Okay,
life
let's
only.
double check.
It might have been on C-SPAN.
But here's the breakdown.
Could be
but
a
here's the breakdown.
can just make up
And-
facts.
Everybody else does, Palmer. That's how
What
you
is your
tell.
opinions
No
on
one
my
is.
facts?
No one's gonna
They're my
double check
facts.
this.
They're my facts. But the fascinating thing about this is, well, first of all, the most fascinating thing about it is how nonchalant he says on this stuff. He's like, yeah, we've been doing this for a
That's
long time.
that's a
Yeah.
good point.
We
But
got-
here are some of the claims that he makes, okay? There are at least 4 types of alien species,
Yeah.
and they have been visiting the Earth for thousands of years.
Ancient aliens.
Okay?
Ancient aliens,
All right,
yeah.
that's one.
Yeah.
The different species probably have different agendas, which
Obvious,
as we
right.
all do, right?
Obvious.
And
Doesn't-
should not be considered as one entity. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Okay.
he's pretty much saying there's good and there's bad.
Yep.
Right? One of the species, the tall whites.
Tall
Mhm.
whites.
Mm-hmm. And Hellier
Us too.
claims,
Us too.
not this guy, not this guy at all. But he claims that 2 of them are working for the United States.
Yes.
Now, when
in
he said that so
Nevada?
nonchalant, I was like,
It,
and
it
I had to
doesn't
like rewind.
feel like it though. If things don't seem to be going like we got a
It's
Galactic
not
Federation on
smooth.
our side,
It's
right?
not- things aren't
It
smooth.
could be comic relief for them.
Yeah,
Like, hey, yeah, I like that guy.
Yeah.
Or it
That's a good
could be
point.
it could
That's
be
a good
the agenda of the tall whites to screw everything up, get
Mhm.
everybody all, hot and bothered, and
True.
then they just come in, sweep through, and be like, "Hey, we're the savior
We're the,
race."
the tall whites.
Seen that movie? Seen that movie?
But
before?
don't like it. So the tall whites, and it was funny when it was. I think the first time that we were about to do the show with you, that it didn't work out because the aliens
Right.
interfered with
Mhm.
technology,
It's true.
Yes.
It's true.
couldn't get things going. Your son was doing a project on the tall whites.
on actually the speech of Hellier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was.
So
so-
you sent us this video.
and my son
and I
is over
sent
there
it to
doing it,
them.
and I have no idea that he's working on this project.
What type of school does he go to? That's-
Westchester?
Okay,
no, I'm just kidding. No,
The
no.
tall
I mean,
whites have invaded the school, and
Sure.
they
true.
said,
It's true.
"Hey, you need to do a report on us."
But like, then it became like this fascinating, and so we watched. That's when we
Yeah.
rented the phenomenon, and he watched it with us, and so he got an A and on that
Good.
project as
Yeah.
he should have.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, but what was so fascinating about Hellier was just how he's like, yeah, and he's
Just nonchalant.
He's so
Yeah.
nonchalant about it, and he says there are live ETs.
Oh, yeah,
on
government's
Earth
got
at
live.
this present time.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's something else he says that's just I might let you read that because there's a lot of big words and some crazy stuff. But it
Can't
gets
handle
hold
the
on, no,
big
hey, pass
words.
it on him. Right here, that last one. I want you to read that
All right.
because that is some crazy stuff.
Oof. Oh, man.
Uh-huh.
A cabal formed by the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderbergers, and the Trilateral Commission, the International Banking Cartel, the Oil Cartel, and select members of the military are planning to create one world government. They are the ones suppressing the information about aliens.
So what do you
from the
think
public.
about that one world government? Why don't you?
I'll let Fletcher start.
No, Mr.
See-
PC.
Mr. Deny
See
Everything.
what Fletcher's got to say.
I mean, I think it's headed that way, right? We've seen Europe kind of go through that, and obviously we saw Brexit.
Brexit.
But there's
The British
Euro.
exit,
the Brits.
I guess.
I apologize to any British people watching this show. But I mean, like, I
I
feel
got
like
on to the under 30s, and you're over here talking about Britain.
Well, I mean, if you're going to unleash some big bombshells like there's
Mhm.
life on other planets and all that kind of stuff, maybe you
It
got to
makes
get
sense
the
to
world
unify.
ready in
Yeah.
all aspects. I don't know.
I mean, just like in Independence Day, all of the countries came together
They all
to
came together.
defeat the aliens that were invading.
A,
Will
a
Smith.
cautionary tale.
It was a
about alien
cautionary tale.
invasion.
Will Smith does a lot of
But
stuff with
you know,
aliens.
I
doesn't he?
think also states' rights could handle aliens too. I think
Mhm. I feel like I could go to several
feel-
of our
I feel like we can
Lexington
all
buddies'
handle aliens
yeah.
in 200 years. I don't think we're there. But if there was a year to slip it in, this was the year.
It was the year.
It would have been like a relief.
Yeah.
almost. The 2020, just like, I got nothing else to do all day.
I'm missing
Can't
Aaron
go
right now
anywhere.
because there was slip on, or slip in, relief. And Aaron would. Anyways, we miss you, buddy. Sorry, but no, I think that this. I think that it is time. I'm trying to say this right. I think that it's almost time that somebody gets on film in a different way. So the phenomenon, talking about the school, all those kids and the
Yeah.
teacher, and
Yeah.
finally the teacher came back out and, years later, pretty much apologized for like hiding it, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I'm fascinated because with all of this, all we're getting is flying saucers, but yet they're among us and we have phones literally attached to our hands at all time. So how are we not getting it? Which leads me to believe that it could. I'm gonna be a conspiracy theorist now.
Oh, B.
Yeah.
Because
rabbit
it
hole.
goes right back down
He
to
is
it could just be the military just doing a lot of stuff.
Could be. Or the aliens know that our technology is advanced and they've started hiding themselves better.
Well, maybe they gave us the technology we're using.
Mm.
Can anyone explain to me how
Correct.
we're recording this and also putting it on the
It's
internet?
magic. I don't understand how any
mean,
of this works.
You know,
I don't even know if it's happening right now.
the statement I read just now
Mhm.
from your phone was not endorsed by me. Make that clear. It's I mean, all those organizations, they all have to deal in secrecy on some level, and like, because they don't have to tell, Joe Schmo what Joe Schmo wants to hear, it kind of
Right.
creates this like, well, something's up, and
Yeah,
it kind of
it's like
builds, and that
aura.
paranoia
Yeah.
builds and builds and builds, and it's like, maybe they're just doing exactly what they say they're doing. Maybe
Mhm.
a banking cartel is really they're just doing banking.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not like helping hide crashed UFOs anywhere.
Well,
Like,
Where do I
I
store my
choose to
money? How do I-
disagree
Okay.
and not believe that.
okay, well, I'm just trying to stay in the middle.